Tampa Bay Bucs at the New Orleans Saints. Bucs favored by 4.5 in Nolans, Sunday at 4:05. Bucs are 5-2 coming off their loss Monday night against the Lions. Saints 1-6 coming off their loss last week in Chicago.
Bounce back for everybody. Rattler was in hell for a lot of that game against Chicago. Baker Mayfield had the worst game he's played in a long time. I think people were sort of accusing us of not covering that appropriately, but I think we did, bring up quite a lot that Baker Mayfield just had a terrible game in addition to the Lions' no-name defense making plays left and right.
Yeah, I saw somebody comment. I mean, we said calibrated 2 to 3 yards high. He was missing high early and often in that game.
Yeah, he had a really bad game in addition to the Detroit defense playing remarkably well given who they had in the secondary.
The Lions got their hands on a ton of passes, and Baker missed a ton of passes.
Yeah.
Both things happened.
So both guys need a bounce back. I mean, people were talking about him in the MVP race. That was a terrible game. And it's a game where you actually had a lot. Now, it's tough to sort of evaluate. Ibuka was out there, Mike Evans was out there until he went down, but how healthy were they? How much of his receiving core was actually 100%, even though they were out there playing. But this is a game that they need to bounce back in.
And I think, from a Spencer Rattler perspective, another guy that was and he had some really nice throws in the Bears game. We had some awful ones as well. Fumble, threw into coverage multiple times. It was a tough wind game, tough outdoor game for a guy that's been in the dome for most of the season. So that's a factor. And I think it's another –
first game in the Windy City.
Yeah.
You're right there.
See what I mean?
Probably.
It's not easy. Why do you think the Bears can't throw for 4,000 yards? It's all the weather. But, yeah, getting back into the dome for Rattler I think could help. And Tampa Bay's fascinating, man. We got the Mike Evans thing. We covered Mike Evans. We covered mostly career-type stuff yesterday on the show. So if you're interested in that discussion, we had about a 10-minute talk about or back and forth on Evans. Broken collarbone the other night. So he's out for at least 6 to 8 weeks. Could come back for the next last few games. But that's a big blow for Tampa Bay that's already been dealing with his injury and others. Chris Godwin probably not back. So it's, back to Emeka Ibuka and Baker's college roommate.
It's Ibuka, Baker's college roommate, and Tez Johnson.
And 140-pounder.
Yeah, and Cameron Johnson as well.
Cameron Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Cade Otton.
Cade Otton, who went off in that game.
Yep.
The thing that the loss of Mike Evans, obviously it's huge because he's a important player and a big receiver and a great receiver for them. He also, though, brings something to the table that none of those other guys do. I mean, the vertical threat of Mike Evans of I'm 6'5" and 230 and none of you guys are is significant. I mean, even just the shot that he got hurt on, that's the type of throw that Mike Evans gets that you don't really get from any of the other guys. I mean, I know he's had the deep shot to Tez Johnson. He's had the deep shot to Emeka Ibuka as well. It's not like those guys can't go deep, but it's a different threat that Mike Evans brings to the table when he's not there.
The other thing I'll add, we didn't get to see much of Evans and Ibuka together. And I always thought Baker and Evans had that ability to just in a quarter go 5 catches for 100 yards and just go off on a quarter and get hot together. And we've seen Baker do that with Ibuka at various points. Did that in Seattle. By the way, I mean, how good does that Seattle game look based off – I know Seattle was banged up in their secondary, but based off how their defense is playing recently, the fact that Baker and the Bucs went toe-to-toe with that defense just a couple weeks ago, having those two really dependable options who could just, put a string of big plays together between Evans and Ibuka, we haven't been able to see that for Tampa Bay. So they still don't have Bucky Irving. They're dealing with a lot, and now we're at the point in the season where they can't afford to slip up. If they lose one and the Falcons win, I mean, they're still it becomes a 1-game lead in the South, and they still have to play Atlanta one more time. So you got to take care of business if you're the Bucs, just like New England against Cleveland and some of these other teams where they seem lopsided, all right? But it's only 4.5. We got a lot of other touchdown lines around the NFL. Are you surprised that it's even this close for a New Orleans team that only has the one win? But yeah, they've been competitive in pretty much all but one game this year. Hey guys, real quick, only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that. Hit that subscribe button, and now let's get back to the action.
Yeah, and I think that's why it is. I think Vegas is giving them some credit for that. Anytime you're facing a Todd Bowles defense, it's an intriguing matchup for a young quarterback or an unproven quarterback or, someone that isn't just a cast iron superstar already. So Rattler's been pretty impressive. You know what you're going to get from a Todd Bowles defense in terms of it's going to be heavy blitzing. You don't know what you're going to get in terms of when exactly he's going to dial it up. Is this the play where he's coming with 6? Is this the play where he's dropping out? Like, as much as we talk about it in terms of, like, it seems predictable because he's going to blitz a lot. But it isn't predictable in terms of knowing when he's going to blitz and where the blitz is coming from. And that's why he's able to do that year on year on year and it still be successful. So it'll be fun to see how Rattler handles that blitz and, whether he's able to play through it and still play at a high level.
Rattler in a bounce-back game coming off the outdoor game against the Bears. He had a rough one. He had rough times against Tampa Bay last year. Remember, they got into a bit of a shootout, and then Rattler started turning it over, and the Bucs ran away with it. So fun matchup there. And then you've just got the general history. I think Baker was mad about them taking shots at him a couple years ago. It goes back to thinks they were trying to take some cheap shots at him, connected to Bounty Gate from 15 years ago.
Wow.
So you get Mad Baker.
Mad Baker.
Mad Baker against the Saints.
Baker's just always mad at the opponent. The Saints receivers are
more
cooking.
spite.
I mean, Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, those guys are playing really well with Spencer Rattler. Can they get after the Bucs corners?
Yeah. I mean, that's what's it's a 4.5-point game. What gave the Saints life a couple weeks ago, or when they beat the Giants, it's big plays to Rashid Shaheed. Last week with Olave, really unbelievable. 2 touchdowns, deep ball behind the defense. They've had some big playability, and Rattler again overall has been pretty good. And so one of the stories of the season is watching him. It's Spencer Rattler against Ty Simpson from Alabama, Dante Moore from Oregon, Fernando Mendoza from Indiana. Those are now probably the favorites, the top 3, the guys with the most buzz to potentially go in the top 10 next year.
None of whom were being talked about a couple of months ago.
Yeah, so just for Saints fans and Dolphins fans and Jets fans, whoever else is looking for a quarterback, it's not Arch Manning, it's not Lenoris Sellers, it's not Garrett Nussmeier, it's not the names that we were talking about. Drew Aller, who's out for the season and never improved. Mm-hmm. It's not the same names we were talking about in this quarterback class. It's different names. But Ty Simpson looks legit right now. Dante Moore is young but looks legit. Mendoza, I'm not completely there with Mendoza from Indiana, but he's in the mix. So it's a different group of QBs available in the top 10. That's who Saints fans, that's who you're watching, right? Like, it's Spencer Rattler's development versus some of those other guys and what might be available in the top 10 next year. That's interesting storylines here as we get to the second half of the football season, NFL and college.
Yep.
All right, make a pick for this football game. Bucs by 4.5 on the road here in New Orleans.
I'm going to go with the Saints to cover that.
Wow. Is there any Honolulu flu here? The Chiefs, I mean, they just buck every trend. No flu for them. In fact, the opposite. One of the most dominant games of all time after playing the Lions. Do the Bucs get infected with the Honolulu flu coming off the Detroit game?
Has that been a thing this year?
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's still fun.
Then no.
Okay. I mean, you're picking the Saints. You're assuming there's some sort of...
I don't think they need a flu for that. I think they're just...
You didn't factor that into the algorithm?
I didn't.
Okay.
No.
I'll take the Bucs, as will Harry.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video.
Check the Mic is live every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a thing.
And the all-knowing algorithm is convinced you'll also like these videos, and who are we to argue?